107 degrees Fahrenheit. We're looking at 206,148 miles on the odometer. And it is January 10th, 2024. I got to work on the Katharine Hepburn screenplay again today. It's constructing nicely. Boy, let me tell you, her young path was pretty intense when she was a little girl. It talks a lot, well, she talks a lot about when she was 8. I'm only doing the one that's called Me. So it's a book, but I think it was meant to be a screenplay. And it's entitled Me, the Stories, or I believe Stories of My Life. And it's Katharine Hepburn, and it's pretty incredible. This one is the one where her mom, okay, it's a complex thing, but her mom paid, I guess, a photojournalist or something to go into this hen house that was in a tenement building and take a photo of a toilet. And there was a rumor that a child had fallen into it and drowned, or I don't know how that happened. I would have to have interviewed Katharine Hepburn, and it made the paper, and then she said in the second edition they tore it from the newspaper, meaning they removed the article from the newspaper because it was just too intense. But I guess she was showing maybe the neglect of certain women and families, and she was showing the women's suffrage, and how it all began. And she was part of that. So was her father, and so was her mother. Really, to be honest, if you vote and you're a woman today, you probably should thank Katharine Hepburn. But anyway, we're talking about like almost 1920. Okay, so I believe she was born, we'll fact check because I'm just starting with this Katharine Hepburn stuff, but I'm going to say
May 12th, 1907.
1901. And in 1918, I believe, I haven't got there yet though, but I think, I actually, you know what, I think I did get to like 1920 right now, but it just kind of jumps around a little bit. But my screenplay starts in my own fashion. So there was also some stuff about Katharine Hepburn proclaiming that she was an atheist and stuff, and I have a take on that. I'm passionate about that because I'm a believer. I mean, I believe in Christ. And so I have a take on that a little bit because I think that we all need God at some point in our life. And I don't know how she goes about it. Like, I don't know how she talks about it. And so far, she has mentioned that her grandfather was an Episcopal minister. So there is a touch of religion in her beginning parts of her life. So I went ahead and started it at the church, at Episcopal church. And there's a minister that asked her to stand up and sing this gospel hymn, which is A Mighty Fortress. I have it on here on my Apple. So I went ahead and put it in there, and I thought, let's have her sing A Mighty Fortress first. So the first thing that we get of Katharine Hepburn is this, basically her singing to the choir. And then it cuts and it gets into all the nitty-gritty stuff. And I'm not cutting anything back. I mean, it gets, she talks about venereal diseases and all kinds of stuff. And this was like stuff that she was witnessing when she was younger. And a lot of this stuff went on during that time. And women, a lot of times, it was horrible, but because of poverty and things, they could either work in like the food industry or they could be a prostitute. This was back when, like, when Bonnie and Clyde time and stuff, because that's what happened to Bonnie. She almost had to do that. And so Katharine Hepburn addresses this issue, and Katharine Hepburn didn't have to. She became a important political figure in society and was well respected, and she fought for women's rights. She had to do it a certain way, and it's a very serious book, and you can tell there's tons of passion that's put into it. And I think this is going to be a good thing for me because it's really turning me around and getting me straight. It's kind of like, you talk to somebody and they go, look, I know you have these views, but let me talk to you for a minute. And they sit down and they tell you these stories of their life, and it can change you. And so it's really like her talking to someone. She uses like mom and dad and all this stuff when she's telling the story. She does use names like Peg and stuff like that. I think that's her sister. But she refers to her mom and dad as mom and dad in it. So I did the same thing in the script. So every time it's talking about her dad, I'll just say dad. I don't say Dr., blah, 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 Hepburn. I kind of try to speak as if she was writing it in the screenplay itself. So this is going to be a great adventure in style and things like that. And then once we get it solidified, screenplay is meant to be done. It's meant to be filmed, right? So once I go through all this that I have to go through to get it out there, maybe 200 pages or so, I have someone I'm going to send it to. And hopefully I'll get some feedback. And then we'll go from there. And hey guys, I'm not talking about just sending it out to nobody. I'm talking about sending it to someone in Hollywood. So this is kind of a magnetic, attractive piece of work that's really gripping me. More so than the Werewolf screenplay, even though I did like the Werewolf screenplay. And I'm not going to let that go, maybe someday, But I think this Katharine Hepburn one has more political punch. And I was brought in political theater. Like, I was introduced in theater with Bertolt Brecht. It's not going to be that stylized. But I am putting my own thoughts and ideas behind it. After all, I'm writing it. All right, just wanted to say that. We're about to go around the little circle thing that I like to show. And we're going to start delivery. There's Kitty. Look at his little paws. Another thing, too, I just like to say. This is one last thing, even though the Katharine Hepburn thing's a big deal. I'm very happy to know that we live in a society today where you can take pen and paper or fingertips to computer, keyboard, and you can write yourself whatever you so choose. We have that liberty here in the United States of America. There's Trinity Park right over here. And right over here is Botanic Garden. Looks like someone went through the old gate. That's the old gate we used to go through back in high school, back in the 90s. They're doing a project right here, too. Little creek bed there. All right. I don't know about Lightscape. If it's still going on, look it up online. One last thing, guys. If you come to Fort Worth, Casa Manana right now, they're going to be doing Seussical Musical, which is coming up in February right here. And also, don't forget about a Once, which is coming in March. The Ferris wheel. Yeah, the Ferris wheel looks pretty cool, too. All right, so we're going to reset this right now for the day. Right there. All right, first delivery, 5:36, 15 minutes, 4.1 miles. All right, looks like they're still sporting the Christmas lights out in front of the Modern Art Museum, and Kimball's doing Bonnard's Worlds. It's about this guy from Paris, France, Pierre Bonnard, and he always painted things around him, like in the home. So if you came into his home, he painted you. Not like painted on you, but he would remember you and paint you. And then also he did travels of Paris too. It's kind of an impressionist a little bit. You can see some of it right there, right over the truck. All right, guys, I just passed the stock show parking. It's $17 if you're going to go to the stock show. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. You get to see cattle, go out there and show their stuff. And a lot of people will buy their cattle there. It's a great thing, agriculture. It has to be studied. I started studying it actually in high school. I did take an ag class at Keller. And then later on, I would do a play at Pascal called Rivers and Ravines. Look at this right here. That's the Trinity. All right. Don't know if that went through. I'm going to check. Yeah, so the playwright's name was Heather McDonald, who wrote Rivers and Ravines. I believe she has some of a bit of an academic background, too. Okay, Heather McDonald was born in 1959. She is a Canadian, and she did go to the University of Florida. She ended up at NYU Tisch School of the Arts, where she studied. I guess she came across playwrights or started writing plays or something. She ended up writing several different plays, a couple screenplays, and she's I think it's called a librettist. That means she wrote an opera. So she was a writer of an opera. And she wrote the play Rivers and Ravines, which is actually a pretty well-known play. I played John Harper in it once, and then I played, the first time I did it, I played Emil the Fifth. That was the first time I did it. which was at UT Austin. Then the second time I did it in Fort Worth, I played John Harper. Tragic stuff, man. Really, really tough stuff. Heather McDonald, great playwright. All right, that is the Omni right there. It looks almost kind of like an apartment, but it's actually the Omni Hotel. And right there is the side of the post office. In the center of those two great structures is the post office, which started back in 1931 and went into effect in 1933. Now, there is a style of artwork that's used. It's very similar to, I believe they call it, there's a little bit of Baroque in there, but I think it's neoclassicism, but there's another name they use for that type of structure. And if you go here to Vickery and make a right, you'll run into a place called Stage West. They do some pretty good theater there, believe it or not. I don't know what they're doing right now, but feel free to access their website and look it up. There's the original Dickie store right here. Well, it's not the Dickie store, but it's actually where they... Actually, you know what? I think they do have a Dickie store there. Yeah, it is a Dickie store. It's that store outside. But it's also the factory where they make the clothing. Right down there. All right, Wyatt C. Hedrick was the architect behind the United States Post Office, and the style of art is called Beaux-Arts. Beaux-Arts. It does have neoclassicism in it. It's B-E-A-U-X, Beaux-Arts. So the Beaux-Arts art style is from the 19th century, and it's French neoclassicism. So they use that on the United States Postal Office, Fort Worth. Also found out some other information about a statue off of Camp Bowie. We'll talk about that later, though. It's the war statue from World War I. That was actually the first deputy of Fort Worth. The one that it goes by the screen really quick. It's a guy holding another guy. He was actually a war hero. And over here, they had a bust, I think right over here for the Rainbow Room. It's a long story, though. I've logged it separately. Sorry about that. Let me restructure that. The Beaux-Arts artwork is B-E-A-U-X. Sorry. And it does have neoclassicism. And one more thing on the post office, which you can see the tail end of it right here. It's French neoclassicism, but it does incorporate Baroque as well. One more thing about the United States Postal Office is it's three components on the Beaux-Arts style of artwork. It's going to be the French neoclassicism, Renaissance, and then a little bit of Baroque. So it's in there. You can kind of see it when you look at the structure. All right, look at this right here. It's old school Fort Worth. Yeah, man, a guy, this dude I met, he actually said that Fort Worth is like full of historical aspects to it. It actually is. It is very, very historical. There's old buildings here that's been here since like 1900, and they have markers to prove it too. If you don't believe me, you can go in there and see like certain buildings. It'll say, you know, how old they are, and it's tons of stuff. I mean, all over the place. Actually, to be honest, I'm surprised there's not more vloggers out here really tearing it up here in Fort Worth. A little bit of traffic. Just a little bit. All right, this says Mark 10:45, loving God, loving others, serving both. Looks like there's actually a church over here. Let me look up Mark 10:45. What Mark 10:45 actually says in layman terms is that the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. And for the ransom of the many, something of that nature. I think the tail end of Mark 10:45 for all the theological majors and people that study theology, I think it says that the Son of Man gave his life for the ransom of many. Towards the end of it. It's a sacrificial quote. It's also another way of saying it's better to give than to receive. Probably in your heart. Probably in your heart it is. You know? Depends on the situation that you're in, because sometimes people do have to receive as well as they have to give. But this is what the Son of Man did, and that's why he was the Messiah. And we certainly try. Okay, yeah, all right. So the three things. Here we go. French neoclassicism, which I believe is true. Renaissance and Baroque are the three things they focused on this structure, the United States Postal Service, which we're going to be coming to up this way. The type of art is spelled B-E-A-U-X. And I looked it up on Wiki. It looks pretty easy to pronounce. I may have to listen to it a few times. It almost sounds like Bose. But you have to listen to some of those to really get it. And then sometimes if you hear someone say it, it can help too. But that's the type of art that they pulled on to create this in 1931. And I believe it officially went into service in 1933, and that's the United States Postal Office, which is in Fort Worth. It's right up here. I think there was a rumor that Charles Bukowski worked there, but I don't think that's a true rumor. I think some Fort Worth artist kind of made that up. But he did work for the United States Postal Service. But that's it right there. There it is, guys. Take it in. Bose artwork. French Renaissance is in there too, or French neoclassicism and Renaissance. Yeah, I see the Baroque at the top. Baroque is like very busy. All right, there's the brand new QT at Lancaster, and it's pretty cool inside too. They've got like some murals on the wall, and they have like this railing up at the top above where all the center of the store is. It's bigger than your average gas station, but the reason why I turned it on is because that's the Masonic Temple right there, Fort Worth, and it's got the sign outside. But I've really never seen anyone go inside there or come out. It's just weird. But there was something on Hulu. It was like a series about Masonic temples and stuff like that, and it was kind of a comedy. It was kind of cool too. Lodge something. I watched it on Hulu a few years back. There's also a Simpson episode that talks about the Masons. But they put the symbols sometimes on people's graves. If you ever see someone, or if you ever gone by a graveyard, you can see the Mason symbol on their grave, because it's like a club. It's something that you join, but you have to be invited, is what I heard. But probably if you snoop around enough, they'll probably end up inviting you. It's kind of that kind of thing. Abraham Lincoln supposedly was a Mason, but I don't know. I've talked to a few when I worked at a bank. They talked to me. Like they belonged to like some kind of Masonic lodge or something. They seem kind of average Joe people. It's more of kind of like a club or something. I don't know. I don't think there's really anything to it. All right, we'll be coming to the Trinity River, passing right over it. This is also a good path to take if you get a train. This is usually the one that I take right here. And it's way quicker than waiting on the train. It's Lancaster to go right over the train whenever it mounts right here by the Montgomery Plaza. And it usually will almost every night. Things slower than you could believe. It's good walking trails too. I used to jog that all the time from the YMCA. I miss jogging big time. It's really, I think, the only thing that's truly liberating. You get out there with your headphones, start jogging. You have to leave a lot of it behind. You can't take a whole lot with you on a jog. Usually your jogging shoes, good pair of shorts, nice shirt. At least it's wintertime, then you wear a jumpsuit. And you just kind of jog, 20 to 30 minutes, maybe up to an hour. You can walk and jog too. I really like doing that. Maybe when the weather gets a little bit better and I'm feeling up to it, we might be able to return to the old jog. I have a jogging path, but I usually keep those pretty secret. All right, there is the mural right here. Oh yeah, Cowtown's going on. Well, actually, the stockyard. Sorry. That's why there's kind of an mounted group of people right here. You can see some of the cars parked right there. You know, stock shows, what they call it. You can see the tail end of the Ferris wheel right here, or the top part of it. I guess it would be the tail end if you were looking upward, but it's actually the top part of it, I guess, if you wanted to be technical. All right, next delivery 7:17, arrival 7 minutes, 2.6 miles. All right, there's the Modern Art Museum. It was actually done by an architect. It was created by an I guess you could say it was designed. That's the right word I'm looking for, designed by an architect known as Tadao Ando. That's my stab at his name. Japanese architect, done tons of Japanese stuff. And he, I believe, was born in 1951 on September 13th. And he was given, I believe it's called the Pritzker Prize for architecture. It's one of the highest honors an architect can get. He was invited to come to Fort Worth to create that Modern Art Museum. And he did a really good job. He's also autodidactic. That means he had no master that he studied under. Like a lot of architects studied under Frank Lloyd Wright and other architects. He studied under really no one. But he did the research. He went to I guess it was like a night school. But first what he did, before he went to like this, kind of like almost like a junior college kind of thing. This was in Japan. But first he wanted to be a boxer. So he did that for a couple of years and wasn't doing so well at it. So I guess, he didn't love it. So he got out of that and started studying architecture on his own. And that's what it means by autodidactic. At least that's how I'm trying to pronounce it. Autodidactic. It's probably pronounced another way, but I think you understand. And so he just completely did it on his own and became world renowned. Pretty cool guy. I got a photo of him if you look him up on Wikipedia. I'm thinking his name is like Tadao Ando. That's kind of how I'm trying to pronounce it. Tadao Ando. The second one, the Kimball, that's Louis Kahn. And he's from Estonia. And the third one is Renzo Piano Pavilion. That one's actually done by an Italian architect. It's all pretty cool. Check it out. Also, if you go a little bit further up, I guess that would be, I'm trying to think of the direction I'm headed right now. South. I think that would be going south, because that way's west. So that would be south. If you go a little south from the Kimball or the Piano Pavilion, you'll run into Amon Carter. That one's actually a very, very fun museum. Linda and I actually did a vlog on it and had a blast. It's interactive stuff. You get these headphones, you go around listening to stuff. It's cool. And it's also vloggable too. They don't play a whole lot of commercial music throughout the entire exhibit. There's a little bit in the lobby. But other than that, they leave it pretty vloggable. There is certain areas of the museum, Amon Carter, where you're not supposed to vlog. It'll show the camera sign blocked out. So they'll tell you to put the camera away. But most of everything else, you can vlog it. Oh, yeah. That was the first deputy of Fort Worth. He's a war hero. That's who that is right there. Probably World War I. I don't know, there's something about people walking dogs. They don't walk cats though. But you can buy a cat harness and walk your cat. I did it one time in Maine. Went to a park in Bangor. Had a cat named Romeo. And I put this little harness on him, walked him around. I vlogged some of it. If anyone can find that, please give me the footage. I think I put it on YouTube. It's on a separate channel under my name. It was very difficult to find, but it's like my little main channel. Yeah, I think I put it under a different email. I want to say Romeo was being walked, and I put him in a harness at a park, and I just kind of like let him walk around. Then he'd lay down, and then he'd walk, and then he'd lay down, and then he'd walk and lay down. It's like he'd go like 10 feet, and then he'd just lay down and smell the grass, and then he'd get back up, walk around, and lay over there. It's very, very comical. All right, I put on Psychedelic Furs, Love My Way. It's a pretty cool song. I'm not gonna really attempt to sing it, but sometimes whenever we'd record, it always sounded like his voice a little bit, or reminded me of his voice sometimes. I don't know why. I told Linda that one time I recorded some song. All right, next delivery is 8:05, 1 minute, 0.4 miles.